Have you ever seen one of those huge, super exciting events where everyone seems to be having this powerful religious moment, and you just kind of wonder, is this for real? Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that, how to tell the difference between a real, life-changing revival and something that's, just a lot of emotional hype. I think we all have, right? That desire to get a fresh start, to actually be better. And that feeling? It's right at the heart of what a true religious revival is all about, a real, powerful change that happens from the inside out.
So, a true revival isn't really about the size of the crowd or how loud the music is. No, it's way deeper. It's when people have that aha moment about their own lives. They see their mistakes super clearly, they feel genuinely sorry, and they realize, wow, I really need God's help. It's a serious, heartfelt choice to turn things around.
Just look at this incredible before and after. A real transformation totally flips a person's life upside down, but in the best possible way. Someone who used to be proud becomes humble. Someone who is selfish starts being kind. We're not just talking about changing a few bad habits. Their whole personality, their whole character gets a complete makeover.
This tree analogy is honestly the perfect way to picture it. A good, healthy tree just naturally grows good fruit, right? Well, it's the same idea. A person whose heart has really been changed will just start producing good fruit in their life, like being kinder, having better habits, and just showing more love. It's a change you can actually see.
Okay, but this is where we've got to be super careful. Not every big, emotional event that calls itself a revival is the real deal. Some of them are more like fireworks. A huge, spectacular flash of excitement and feelings, but then the light just fades away really, really fast.
So let's put them side by side. A true revival? It's all about truth, and it leads to changes that actually stick. You see people becoming more humble, more willing to put others first. But a fake revival? That's all about chasing exciting, sensational feelings. The change doesn't last, and people often just go right back to being the same as they were before.
And you got to understand, these counterfeits, they're not just accidents. The whole point is that Satan actually creates these fake revivals on purpose to trick people. He's like a master of disguise, making it look and feel like something amazing is happening. But all that excitement is really just a clever distraction to pull people away from what's true.
So with all this talk about fakes and lookalikes, you're probably thinking, okay, how in the world can anyone know it's actually real? It definitely sounds confusing, but luckily, there's a really clear test we can use.
And here it is. Jesus himself gave us the ultimate test. He said, "You will know them by their fruits." It's that simple. The advice here is to pretty much ignore the exciting feelings, the huge crowds, and all the temporary hype. Instead, just look at the long-term results. Look at the fruit. Is their life actually truly different? Are they becoming more loving, more humble, more genuine? That is the real test.
Okay, so we know good fruit is the sign of something real. But how does that fruit even start to grow in the first place? Let's get into the secret of how that deep, lasting kind of change actually happens.
It all kicks off with understanding God's law. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Boring, restrictive rules, right? But what's so fascinating is how God's law is presented here as loving instructions. It's less like a rule book and way more like a perfect guide designed to actually make us happy.
And here's how it works. First, God's law is like a mirror. It shows us super honestly where we're messing up. But, and this is key, it doesn't just leave us there feeling bad. That mirror points us straight to Jesus, who can forgive us and help us change. And after that happens, the law starts to look totally different. It stops being a burden and becomes a loving guide that we actually want to follow.
This verse from the Psalms just captures that new feeling perfectly. A person with a truly changed heart starts to love God's instructions. They see how wise and good they are, and it becomes something they think about and get guidance from all day long.
And it's so important to remember this. This change is not a one-time thing. It's a lifelong journey. There's actually a word for it, sanctification, which is just a fancy way of saying it's the process of becoming a little more like Jesus every single day. There's a starting point, for sure, but the growth is supposed to keep going for your whole life.
The Bible even gives us a sort of roadmap for this journey. It's a step-by-step process of building your character. It all starts on a foundation of faith, but you don't stop there. You're supposed to actively add to it, building on it with goodness, and then knowledge, and then self-control. Each new quality is like a building block for the next one, creating a really strong character over time.
And here's a funny thing that happens. You'd think the better a person gets, the prouder they might become, right? But it's the total opposite. The closer someone gets to Jesus, the more they see how perfect he is and, in contrast, how flawed they are. It means that real spiritual growth always leads to more humility, not pride.
All right, so let's boil it all down. What do you need to remember? A true revival leads to good fruit. That's real, lasting change. A fake revival is just a firework of emotions that disappears. The number one test is always the fruit in a person's life. And that real change, it comes from following Jesus and learning to actually love God's instructions.
So that really leaves us with one final question to think about for ourselves. When you look at your own life, your own character, what kind of fruit do you want to grow? What does a life of real, lasting, positive change look like to you? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this one.